Namaste and welcome to one more part of self-improvement. All these weeks which we have been devoting to talking about self-improvement, most of the time we are talking about only self-improvement for our own selves, that is limited to our own practice. Today, the topic which I have chosen is relationships. For relationships, we have to remember that it's not only us, but it is the others also who are involved. Coincidentally, just this morning, I saw a message. I would like to read this out to you for relationships. How you make others feel says a lot about yourself. How you make others feel says a lot about yourself. So who you are you really a complete human being? Do you have human excellence? Are you the excellent person, the complete person, which Swami Srikantananda ji wants all of you to be? That is why he has planned this program. So all the time we have been learning about our own selves and how to improve our own selves. Today, we have to improve in relationship to others. That is why the topic is relationships. Now, in today's world, we use other terms also. We can call it interpersonal skills. We can call it people skills, or we can call it social skills also. So all these deal with relationships, whether it is interpersonal between people, or people skill, the way you handle others, or you have what is called as social skills. When we go out in society, how do we behave? So unless you improve yourself, unless you do the right things, you can never have good relationship skills. This is what we are trying to achieve today. So in your progress towards your self-improvement, you have to monitor your relationships, because you must remember that your relationships are like a mirror. Your behavior is the mirror which reflects the other person's behavior. So if you feel that everybody is treating you badly, you have to check up. Are you treating them badly, or are you treating them well? Also, you have to see that, if I treat everybody badly and others should treat me well, this attitude many of us have. That's not a good attitude at all. That, as the leader or as the head of the family, I will ill-treat everybody. That you cannot do. Or as the only child in the family, I will ill-treat everybody. But in expectation, I have the expectation of good treatment from others. Relationships don't work like that. We have to have give and take. We have to, of course, improve our abilities for relationship, but we have to also remember that our abilities are reflected like a mirror in the way in which others are looking at us. Very often we have a self-image which might not be correct. Others have another image of us that might be correct. So we have to take an average of these two and see which is correct, what others think or what we think. Like that, we have to move on. Now, as an example, I would like to suggest that we can learn relationships from models. We usually learn it from our parents, from our family, from our siblings, etc. As we are growing up, just like we learn to walk, we learn to talk, all these are physical disciplines. Like that, relationship is a mental discipline, which we also learn from people around us. But we can learn it from wonderful models of self-improvement and good relationships. I'm going to give you one model today, and that is Holy Mother Sharada Devi. Her relationships were excellent. The manner in which she used to nurture the relationships, you can see and you can learn a lot. Of course, wonderful thing would be if you read her life, if you read her biography, if you read her words in the Gospel of Holy Mother. But today I'm going to share only a few of those things. I can't tell you everything about her, but her relationships. From the childhood, she had the ability to help everybody at home. As a small child, she would help her mother at home, and then she would carry food for the farmers to the farms. They were working the whole day. This little girl would carry their food and go. Sometimes she was asked to cut fodder for the animals. She had a wonderful relationship with the animals. You know, when the animals would cry out, she would say, "Don't worry, I'm coming, I'm coming." So that is the kind of relationship she had. She had a wonderful relationship with plants and trees. Very often, when, in her time in Kolkata, she would have a bath in the Ganga. She would carry a pot of water with her and keep watering all the plants which she found on her way home. So, with every being having a relationship that shows a balance, that shows a maturity, that shows a consideration, which all these things she had. Then you can have the way in which she made the dacoits as her parents. This is a wonderful story for relationship skills. She was going to Dakshineshwar, and they had to walk. In those days. There was no train or there was no good road. Cars were not there. So she could not, go by anything other than walking. And in the middle, there was a forest. So here there were many dacoits. Suddenly she found that she was alone. The group with which she was traveling had gone ahead and she had fallen behind. So she saw the dacoit coming with, a sword in hand. And the dacoit's lady was also there. Both of them very fierce looking. They were coming towards her. Then what did she do? She, she must have been frightened, but she did not show. She called them as her parents. She said, "Father, I'm lost. Will you be able to help me? Mother, I'm your child, Sharada." She was just about 18 years old, maybe. And she could tell this elderly couple. In this way, she made a relationship with them, which lifelong they kept. The dacoit couple became good, and they used to visit Sri Ramakrishna in Dakshineshwar, treat him as the son-in-law, because Sharada Ma was the daughter, so the son-in-law. And Sri Ramakrishna also used to give them a lot of respect as though they were real parents-in-law. See how she built up relationships. In a conflict situation, in a crisis situation, it is her relationship skill which saved her. She could have been killed, although she had nothing, but no dacoit would think of that. Then she had, a relationship with her brothers. She had brothers, she was the eldest, and she had to look after them all her life. She would care for them. The families of the brothers, especially the youngest brother who passed away at a very young age, left a wife who was mentally unwell. This wife, she had to look after, and this person had a child also, this little baby, because the mother was mentally not sound, she could not look after. Throughout her life, Holy Mother Sharda Devi looked after this niece. Her name was Radhu, and Radhu was the hold, she said, which was held. Very often, Radhu ill-treated her. At the end of her life, Radhu said, at the end of Radhu's life, she was in tears. She said, "How much I ill-treated my aunt, but she never responded. She always gave me her blessings." So you can imagine relationship in families. Her other nieces also very often depended on her emotionally, depended on her for some relationship skills. They troubled her a lot, but she never troubled them. She did not return to them the kind of behavior which she got from them. They used to all look towards her as a great person. Then you have her relationship with the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. The women disciples used to often come and spend time with her. They would treat her with a lot of respect. She said, "No, I'm just like you. You can come and lie down on my bed with me." The disciples say, "No, mother, how can we lie down on the same bed?" But it was a small room, Nahabat was such a small room. There was no place to keep two beds separately. They would just lie down on the floor on the same mattress. She had a wonderful relationship with Sri Ramakrishna's niece, and that is Lakshmi Devi, who was highly spiritual lady. Both of them were like friends and companions. Then you have the sadhus who are, the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. They used to treat the mother as their guru after Sri Ramakrishna left away. She was called as the Sangha Janani, the mother of the order. The order was the Ramakrishna order. So she might have been close to their age because she was very young, but they all treated her like the mother. They listened to her. Her word was the last word. Why did they give her so much respect? Because she gave each of them great respect. She gave them a lot of self-confidence by her words of praise. Then with her own disciples, she had a wonderful relationship. If they got her a small thing, if they did a small good deed, she would always praise them. Telling others you are good is a wonderful way of improving relationships. And then, of course, we have the Western disciples of Swami Vivekananda. When Sister Nivedita and others came, Josephine McLeod and Sarah Bull, they all came to India. Swamiji was worried that in those days, people never used to like foreigners in India, especially a person like the mother who was very traditional also. She followed all the traditions, all the practices. So he thought maybe she will also say, "No, I won't meet the foreigners." The mother did not do that. Her relationship skills were so powerful. She took them into her own heart. She called Sister Nivedita Kuki. Kuki in Bengali means baby, child. So she used to call Nivedita child. Nivedita also used to treat her like her own mother. In fact, the first photograph we have of the mother is because of the Western disciples. One of them said, Sarah Bull, she said, "I want to take your photo and worship it in America. Can you give?" Mother was very shy, but she gave it because she had powerful relation building ability. Like this, we understand. She used to eat with the Westerners. She used to allow them to sit on her cot. She showed that, between human beings, between human and animal, between human and nature, there should be no difference. We should treat each other as our own. That is what she says. Make the world your own. In a famous quotation of the mother, you come across these words that make the world your own. What does it mean? That everybody you have to take to your heart. Everybody you have to treat as though you are treating your nearest and dearest person. This is what she believed. So such a model with so many examples, if you look at, you can also see, the way Sri Ramakrishna or Swami Vivekananda or all the direct disciples, they build up relationships. We have Swami Ramakrishnananda who came to the south and he established the Chennai ashram. Imagine, language was difficult, people's customs were difficult, everything was difficult. But because he was the brother disciple of Vivekananda, they took him to heart. And what he did for the South Indian part of the order's progress and expansion, nobody can understand. So you can see models like this. For your ability to improve your relationship or your interpersonal skills or your social skills or your people skills, almost all of them are synonymous. And you can look at these models. You can also look at people or stories, and you see how good relationships and bad relationships are there. They teach us, good ones teach us how to follow them, to emulate them. Bad ones show us how to avoid, how to learn from their mistakes and make a better relationship. Now, let me tell you about the ways of improving our relationship skills. Why are we doing it in self improvement? Because self improvement tells us that we have to first check up whether we have good relationship skills. Once we have them, only then we can say that, okay, if I treat people like this, the others will also treat me well. I'm forging relationships. I'm building and nurturing relationships. I'm making lifelong relationships. Today in your life, an important word is networking. Networking does not require only expectation from others. Networking, you require for networking good relationship skills. When people are impressed by your relationship skills, then they will have a good network with you. And these networks help us a lot. I can give you an example of the pandemic. They have a Satya Sai organization here close to my house. They have every kind of person in that organization. One of our teachers of VIHE, she suddenly needed plasma for therapy. That time in the first wave, plasma was the therapy which was being used. So she called and said, Madam, I need it urgently. I didn't know who to ask. Then I called up this gentleman. I said, Mr. Sai, can you help? Immediately, the whole network was in action, and within a few hours, the plasma was made available. See, in times of difficulties, in times of trouble, it is our relationships which stand behind us. The volunteers who work in Ramakrishna Math here, they are always available. Any help, any difficulty, all they are just a message or a phone call away. What is it? It is because of building up relationships, of keeping relationships alive, nurturing them. So first we have to improve ourselves. First we have to train ourselves, and then we will be able to make relationships better. Qualities like consideration, compassion, caring, these are all important. This is the first point which we need to do to improve. Consideration for others. All the time, are we only thinking selfishly? Mine, what I want, what will I get, like that. That is selfish. But can we think of the other person's point of view? Consider them. Somebody is feeling unwell. You have given a lot of work to that person. Say you have to finish the work. But if you're good at relationship skills, what will you say? You said, today you are unwell. Please get well as soon as possible and do the work. You extend the deadline by a week or 10 days. You can do that if you have the time and the power. These are all consideration, points of consideration. As a teacher, when I would find that students in the classroom are getting overburdened with information, then what I can do is I can give them a small break by saying, please relax for 5 minutes. Please go and have some water if you feel like. Let us share a joke or two, and then come back to serious studies again. Consideration. It is wasting 5 minutes of the time, but it is getting a better response, a better concentration because of that. So we have to be considerate, compassionate, feeling for others, that if I cut myself, I hurt myself. If others do it also, they feel hurt. If I scold somebody, they feel hurt. Because if somebody scolds me, I also feel hurt. Caring, the way in which we look after our family members, the way in which, for the smallest thing, we try to help them out. We try to give them what is best. We have to do this to the entire world, not only ourselves. In the heat of summer, when you see the plants are drying up, you have to water them a little more. When the rain is coming, you don't have to water them so much. So caring, like that we have to do for everything. Then our relationship skills build up. Then you have to have clear and concise communication. Very often, either we don't tell, or we tell half truths, or we tell untruths. This spoils a relationship. In a relationship, we have to remember to be always honest, truthful. Remember what Sri Ramakrishna said. He said, I can give to the mother everything. I can renounce everything. The only thing I cannot give is truth, because we have to hold on to truth. In relationships, this is very important, to be truthful. But truthful doesn't mean hurtful. We have to combine truth with tact. Tact is consideration. Tact is not saying things which harm others, which, wound others. We have to remember this. So clear and concise. We keep half the things in our mind, only the other half we speak about. That is not good communication at all. To build a relationship, we should be good listeners. We should also have good conversation. You should be able to talk about any topic which interests the other person. You must know everything. You're talking to a scientific officer, you must know a little science. You're talking to a political party worker, you must know a little politics. You are talking to a student of economics, you must know a little economics. You're talking to a person who's studying international affairs, you must know what is happening in the world. Today, we are all in a pandemic situation. You must know a little about the pandemic. Of course, you must know, but not something which is untrue. Recently, a message was there, saying that if you take a vaccine, you will die. And then it was disproved. Many people send it, and then they again send, saying, sorry, it is false. See how honest that is? You first give a fake news, then you yourself give the warning that please don't believe what I sent you because it is fake. Then you cultivate trust, you cultivate faith. This happens in relationships only through proper communication. Then you have to have boundaries also in relationship. You can't talk to everybody about everything. You can't discuss all things with all people. You can't even know how much if you say that person will be hurt. I remember somebody warning me by saying that the humor which we use in India is not the kind of humor which we use in another country. So if I'm talking to a person from a different culture, I have to be very careful how I use humor. So I must know the boundary. Up to here, this is fine, we can use it. Beyond this, we can't. Similarly, spaces. In relationships, space is very important. In India, what we do? We do namaste. Rarely, if you remember, even in your childhood, your parents would hug you or kiss you or, use physical touch so much. Ours is a culture where physical touch is not so much. Of course, now we have learned from other countries and we are doing it, but these were very rare. If you see the scenes of movies today in 2021, and you see the scenes of movies 50 years back, you will see how spaces are different. Individual space is very important in a relationship. For instance, you might say congratulations to a person by giving, a pat on the back. That person moves away, gets scared, and says, no, don't touch. What does it mean? That you're encroaching on that person's space. That is not good for a relationship. Very often we tell our students that when you go to an interview room, don't keep your hands on the interview table. That is encroaching on the space of the interviewer. You can't get comfortable and keep your elbows on the table. Dining etiquette, they used to teach us that, we should never eat our food by keeping our full arm on the table, our elbows on the table. Of course, we have wonderful etiquette points of communication in, silent communication, body language. In our culture, they say that while eating, we should never talk. Exactly opposite to the colonial culture, where they say that you have to talk to people who are sitting on either side of you. So we have to know how to build relationships by observing these boundaries. Then you have to have patience, which is very important. You have to have empathy, which is very important. These are qualities which we have to learn by a lot of practice. That is how self-improvement comes. Usually, if you are good at something, you're good at painting, or you're good at singing, or you're good at, cooking, or you're good in studies, you're good at your job in the office, you get very impatient with people who are not as good as you are. This spoils relationships. So what we require here is patience. We must remember that different people have different capabilities. They have different talents. Not all of us are similar. To build a good relationship, we must admire dissimilarities. We must admire a person for not knowing what we know well, but knowing something which we might not know well at all. That is why, as a teacher, I would always tell my students that you learn many things from me, but I learn equal number of things from you, because the students also teach us so many things. That is what I have been trying to say in these videos, that I'm sharing my ideas with you, but you might have wonderful ideas. If you share your ideas, then maybe I will also be able to learn many things. YouTube, where these videos are, has a column for comments. You will find thousands and thousands of comments in videos being written by people. But they only say, oh, hello, how are you? And, this is nice, this is not nice, and so on. They never try to display their ideas that you have said like this, I have something to add. So that is how we share and we build up our patience. When we share, we realize that, other people have other things, so we should be very patient. You have given a small child a building blocks. The child is not able to build because the child doesn't have coordination with the fingers like you have. You say impatient, you get impatient. You say, oh, this child will never learn how to use the building blocks. Now, that is not correct. The child's limited capabilities require a much more time than that. Then empathy. Empathy is such an important skill. When we have empathy for others, it is a higher degree than consideration and caring. Because consideration and caring, you are keeping the difference that you are one person, I'm one person, different. But empathy merges both your personalities. You feel for that other person as though the pain is your own. Somebody falls down on the road. It seems the first reaction of people is to laugh by saying, oh, such and such a person fell down. But that is not empathy. Empathy is if a person falls down and hurts herself or hurts himself, then we try to feel that pain. We run and go. We feel that pain. Today we find, they say, that people are becoming inhuman. If they see an accident victim on the road, they quickly run away. They don't rush to help. So what have we done? Have we lost the quality of being human? We only look physically, we look like a human being, but our thoughts and our attitudes and ideas are not human at all. We are becoming inhuman. So we should not do that. Empathy teaches us how to be human, or how to be, how to feel for everybody. If somebody plucks a leaf and tears it into small pieces, I have seen people groaning by saying, don't do that, the plant is feeling hurt. Now we say, oh, plants don't have life, so I can pluck anything I want, I can tear, I can pull out the roots, etc. We can't do that. The horse cart or the bullock cart, they keep beating the animal. Every time you beat the animal, you should feel that the animal is feeling such pain. How can the animal go faster when it is not capable of doing it? That is empathy. Empathy builds good relationships. If we have empathy, we will be able to get good relationships. A relationship requires a lot of respect. This is very important. And unless we can respect everybody, we cannot have good relationships. We usually say we respect our elders, we respect people in high position, we respect our superiors, etc. But can we show this respect to a subordinate, to a person who's only sweeping a road, or who's only, a peon in an office or a school or a college? Are we able to show the same respect to a small child, to an adolescent? Are we not keeping respect for certain relationships and removing it from other relationships? Then we are not good at people skills. And here, it is not only interpersonal or people I'm talking about, but when I say relationships, I'm talking about relationships with everybody and the entire creation, not only human beings. So unless we have respect, unless we show that respect tangibly, we have to show that respect in concrete action, we cannot build or we cannot retain relationships. Some people say, I'm very friendly, but they are not able to retain their friends because they are casually friendly. Social media has done that for us. We have 200 friends or 500 friends, but where are those friends? Are you really nurturing your relationship with them? You post something, they all like it. You say, oh, I'm so popular. But that is not a relationship. A relationship is where both of you care for each other, or both the groups care for each other. They live for each other, and they also have a lot of respect for each other. In every relationship, parents and children, husband and wife, brother and sister, colleagues, class teacher and student, or the sadhus and the householder disciples, there is a need for respect everywhere. Since we are doing this program for Ramakrishna Math Pune channel, can you imagine the kind of respect we give to the Swamijis? Because they have given up their entire life to help us. And you can imagine the kind of respect they give you, because they are willing to give you time, they are willing to give you help. Just now in the cyclone, in one of the centers of the Ramakrishna order, I'm told that, 350 people from villages all around have taken shelter. The Swamijis are caring for them, feeding for them, respecting their needs. That is relationship building. So let us all work towards relationship building. Today, the world is losing the art of relationships. So if we do self-improvement, If we become the models of good relationship, then I think we can communicate it to others without explaining, like I had to explain today. No need to explain. Your behavior itself is such that other people learn from you. They improve their relationship. We have a healthy relationship. Thank you and namaste.